Man United fan, it wasn't the best performance. The thing I didn't like the most was the fact that it was an open game. It was a back and forth game. Even before Man United went 10 men. We we tend not to dominate games like the other teams, like the cities of the world, like the Bayern Munichs, like the Real Madrids. And that's something that I think Ten Hag and United need to work on. The main reason I think that doesn't happen is because we play too many Hollywood passes. We're too we play too many Hollywood passes. What I mean by that is
Bruno.
too many too many high we play too many low percentage passes. So those long balls over the top that, you know, 6 or 7 times out of 10 the defenders usually get. We do that too often. And when you do that, the defending team usually gets the ball back and then they can go on their attack or they can go and counter. So that makes it a back and forth game. While teams like City, Real Madrid, they may try that ball, the team will defend it, and then they'll retain the ball. They won't try it straight away again. They'll build up that pressure slowly. It's like they'll slowly suffocate teams. When Man United are trying to go for the juggler every single time, trying to go 100 mile an hour, and it just makes it a back and forth game with teams that we shouldn't be going back and forth with, like Southampton. We made them look better than what they are.
This is this is. Hey, sorry, were you done or?
Yeah.
This is why I never really bought the challenge Man United because it was the game against Leicester. I was like, nah, Leicester are not the greatest team, but they went away to Old Trafford, had 19 shots.
Yeah, they were bullying. Yeah.
They had chances to score, but in general, then big team was giving up 19 shots against Leicester. And then sorry, back to bring it back to Arsenal. We went away to Leicester to King Power Stadium, and Leicester had one shot in the whole game across 90 minutes. Arsenal. So it's because we have the players actually to dominate possession. I don't feel United until they get that, until they have players that can dominate possession and do that tiki taka, slow down the play, build through through the phases, break the lines, players who want to get on the ball and dominate the ball. I don't feel you have that just yet, and it'd be interesting to see what Ten Hag wants to do in the transfer window. I remember last summer he was chasing Frankie De Jong all summer, but I'm still unsure of what he wants to do and what talent ID he has. Because if you're gonna chase Frankie De Jong all summer, is that the only player that can do what he does? And for that, and you're gonna end up paying crazy money for him? Is that really efficient in the market? We'll see what happens this summer. But I feel that's an easy fix. It's quite obvious, and there's many players that can do that. So let's see what happens.
The problem with United is that we have a lot of players are not technical. That's why we have to go for them long balls. People going about Bruno. Bruno's not a technical footballer. He's not good. That guy is a moaning merchant. He gets his stats, yeah, but Bruno's not a good footballer. And I've been saying he's not a footballer. He's just a stat merchant. He's effective, but he's not good. I don't know how else to put it with Bruno. We've got Casemiro is decent on the ball, but he's not a technician. If you look at Madrid, he had technicians in front of him operating, and he was more the sweeper up. He was a killer that clamped people, got the ball to the technicians to operate. At United, when he gets the ball, we're expecting him to be our technician because you can't rely on Bruno because he's turning the ball over. Who else is beside him? You got Fred. Fred is not technical. So you've already got those two players, Fred and Bruno, in your midfield engine room, who are supposed to be your most technical players. You're in trouble alongside Casemiro. And then you got wing back Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Guy's not technical. Varane, he's not technical. Martinez is technical. Shaw's okay. And then Rashidi up top, he's not technical. Workhorse, only God knows why that guy is still there. Useless. Rubbish. And then Anthony. Again, I don't believe Anthony's technical. He's a good dribbler, but his passing isn't anything to shout home about. Crossing hasn't been great this season. I haven't seen one successful cross from that guy. So we've got too many players that are not technical. So we have to go on and rely on them long balls over the top, hoping someone chases and gets them onto the end of them. Because if you're trying to pass with United, no chance. No chance. So, yeah, like Humana said, we need to go through the transfer windows and see what Ten Hag is trying to do. But it worries me that he spent all summer chasing Frankie de Jong and seemed like he had no plan B. Casemiro didn't seem like his signing, it seemed like a club signing. Eriksen, he came on a free, but a player like Eriksen, we can't rely on him. We can't rely on Eriksen. Sabitzer, he's injured right now, but even when he wasn't injured, he was bringing on McTominay over Sabitzer in important games. So I don't believe he's worth keeping. It's just, we don't have enough technical players at United to function how he wants to play. Whereas if you compare to Arsenal or Man City, they've got technical players all over the pitch and they can kill you passes. Whereas we can't do that. We have to kill you one way. But yeah, while I'm on Bruno, he's crap. He's rubbish, man. All he does is moan. He is crap. He moans. I remember when I was in school, when I was in sixth form, my history teacher told my dad and parents even that, what was it? I'm humorous and opinionated to hide from my lack of effort in class. That's what she told my dad parents evening.
Damn.
Bruno, bruv. My dad didn't understand the words she said, but he understood lack of effort. Bruno he's moany and opinionated to hide for his lack of ability. That's what he does. He is moaning and opinionated to hide for his lack of ability. All he does is moan. He tries to dive to get that dodgy penalty that wasn't a penalty. Rubbish passing. And he'll get a stat and then everyone's like, oh, look at Bruno's stats. He's got 20 for the season. But if you watch him play football, he's rubbish. Rashidi. Everyone's been going on about Ballon d'Or Sheedy. When that guy's not scoring, you see what he does on a football pitch. Nothing. But people are trying to put him as Ballon d'Or next to guys like Mbappe and Messi and Neymar. Come on, man.
Talking on the Bruno thing, what was the club thinking giving him a new contract before Ten Hag started?
They wasn't thinking.
What had he done to deserve a new contract?
The things, let's not like his first season under Oli.
Come on.
Yeah, but
he
was like how many years ago? That's like 3-4 years ago, and he was in.
No, it was 2 years ago. It was 2 seasons ago when he got, because it was January 2020 we signed him, and that season he balled out.
Yeah, But do you feel he didn't need the new contract? He was only 2 years into a 5-year deal.
He didn't, but the thing is, the management at Old Trafford, at Man United, they're not football people. They saw Bruno and thought, okay, let's sign him to a long-term deal. He's influential. The fans love him. Marketing.
Bruno is the player. Yeah, he's the players' captain. He's loved by the players.
Yeah.
He is loved by the players. Big influence in the dressing room. So I think he deserved the deal. I think with Bruno, it's just a minor adjustment. He just needs to tone down what he's doing. The Hollywood part, we need someone in the team with that mentality, but he just needs to dial it down a little bit, because the Hollywood passes is good because we need to put defenses under pressure. So we need someone to do that, but to do it every single time, and he does it at unnecessary times as well. And like I said, him doing it too much. Like there was a couple times where he would do in the Southampton game, where he would try a long pass, he would try a ball over the top to Rashford. They would defend it, it would come back to us, and then he would try it straight again. So doing that, the defense would more times, the defense would just get the ball again, and then they can just go on a counter or they can build up an attack. But if you do a Hollywood pass, for example, or a low percentage ball and it doesn't come off, and then it comes back to you, if you control the ball, build it up slowly, you put more pressure on the defense. That's what Man City does. Man City, Pep will not allow you to just be spamming balls and crosses. He's not going to allow it. The top teams don't do it.
And with Pep, the only person who's allowed to do something similar to that is KDB, and that's because his ball accuracy, his passing is A1.
Where's KDB right now? He's on the bench.
But it's because they got Champions League.
But he's the only one allowed to do it.
And KDB had to earn that. You can't just come in a Pep team and just do that. He earned that because of his play and his production over the years. But a team like Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, if you look at their midfielders, I guarantee not many of them have over 10 assists but
Musiala does for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, one, but you won't
He's wavy.
For a team that scores as many goals as they do, a team like Real Madrid, one of the best teams in the world, that scored 5 past Liverpool. You won't find players with crazy stats because they build up as a team, they play as a team, and they make the key pass at the right time. They don't just try and play the key pass or the killer pass every single time. They do it at the right time.
Bro, look at the best case scenario for this. The best example is Xavi and Iniesta. Low stats, no stats. Sergio Ramos has got more goals than Iniesta, but boy, Iniesta, he might be the best central midfielder of all time because his technical level, his passing, his ability to get out of situations and keep possession is probably the best ever. And that's an example. They don't go for stats, they don't go for goals, they don't go for assists. They just do what they have to do.
But that's what I said. It leads back to the fact that Bruno tries to hide for his lack of ability by stat padding. Because with Bruno, if you get at him, he'll say, "Look at my stats, though." That's what he leans on, my stats. Like in the past when they've gotten at him, he's like, "But look at my stats. I've got an assist. I've gotten goals for United." That's all he leans on because he knows he's not good enough. So if I could get the stats up, I can cover it because that's what people check. Everything is about analytics these days. They've even got this XG or whatever the hell that is. Why? What is an XG? How do you even calculate XG?
No, don't cuss XG. XG is a good
XG is crap, man. How do you
XG is a good
indicator
indicator.
of what?
Trust me.
Of what?
I'm not an XG fan.
XG, XA,
What's an XG?
non-penalty XG.
Nah, man, come on. What is it? What is an XG? Expected goals.
Expected goals. So,
but I can score 5 and my XG is 1.4. What does that mean?
That means you outperformed your XG. That means
so it means it's nonsense. It's a nonsense stat.
No. Let me give you some examples now. For example, if you say, for example, Mo Salah's XG is 20 per season, but he ends up with 28 goals. That means he outperforms his XG, and he does that consistently. Whereas Gabriel Jesus has an XG of 20, but then he scores 10 goals. That means he underperforms his XG. So
let me ask you, created to get people jobs.
No. Trust me, it matters. Indication. Go on.
When two teams play each other, is the XG calculated before the game or after the game?
It's during the game.
During and after.
Okay, because I don't get it.
So look. Let me give you a good stat. Last season, from January till March, Arsenal had a XG and XA, X allowed. The difference of that, basically, how many goals you expected to score, how many goals you actually allowed, chances given up to the other opposition. Our difference, that indicates your level, and there's a table of the difference. So, for example, the best team last season, best two teams are Man City and Liverpool, having a difference. Basically, they have most expected goals and least expected assists, expecting allowed. Also, somewhere in that range from January to March last season. But those are underlying stats that people don't really look at. So for me as an Arsenal fan, I took that's a good indication of that we actually are playing well and we actually are dominating games because we're not allowing chances and we actually are creating chances. And look where we are today. I'm just saying I like the stats, and I'm into all that stuff.
I'm not into stats because it hides people's crappy performances.
That's why goals and assists are one level. XG and XA, X assists, are underlying stats that show an indication of really how well he did. I'm sure Bruno's XA isn't the greatest because where he passes from, what the chances he creates are not always the top quality chances, for example.
I don't mind stats, but for me, I use stats to substantiate what I see with my eyes. My eyes are the number one. What I'm seeing, what I'm watching, that's going to tell me, from my personal opinion, that's going to tell me the majority of what I need to know about a team, about a player.
The best stat is ET and IQ. Those are the best stats. IQ and ET. Bruno doesn't have any of them. Bruno's IQ is 0.1 and his ET is 0. Those are the best stats in football. XG, XA, XY, nonsense, man.
I'll give you a stat today, yeah. This week, I was nervous about the Fulham game. Fulham are what, 7th, 8th in the league. They're doing well. They've given big teams trouble. This week on a pod, I heard that Fulham have allowed the most expected goals allowed in the whole league. When I heard that, I was like, oh, that means they're allowing opportunities for other teams to score. And when I heard that, I expected to win after that because they do allow the most chances. So you can use that as an indication of what's going to happen. It's not always it's not a prediction; it's an indication.
I'm just saying, players like Bruno use all those stats to hide the stinky performances. Because he'll have a dreadful game and you can point to his XG, XY, X, all of that stuff.
No.
It's crap.
The point of underlying stats is trying to hide to identify those stat patterns. You know what I'm saying? Goals and assists is one level, service level.
Mm.
And like, for example, Ivan Toney has scored a lot of penalties, but he has scored like 15 goals in the league, but like 7 of them are penalties. So there is non-penalty expected goals.
But all those underlying stats here, no one cares about them unless you like the most important stats are goals and assists, and that's the ones that people look at. No one looks at XG and XA and think, oh, Bruno's XG and XA are this and that, but his stats and assists are his goals and assists are X, Y, and Z. No one looks at that stuff. They just see goals and assists and think Bruno's sick. He's crap.
Yeah, the public doesn't, but all the prem teams do. And Liverpool, the reason why they bought all those players back in the day for their run is because of stats. The Klopp didn't want Salah, but the board, the recruitment team wanted Salah because of his underlying stats. So I'm just saying, there's a role for it in the game, and yeah, I feel like we should all get into it. Trust me.
No, I just hope that ETH sees that flipping Bruno's a bozo and gets rid of him, man.
There is definitely a role for it in the game, but for me, I don't think it should be taken too far. Like, what you see with your eyes is, well, for me anyway, is number one. It will always be number one. Stats definitely have a place in the game. There's no denying that. If you say stats have no place in the game, I think that's an old school mentality. I think you're being hard-headed. There's definitely a place for stats in the game. But over analytics, that's what I'm seeing a lot out there today. People rely on it too much, over analyzing things. Yeah, I think that's where it gets taken too far. Like people doing, especially what's that page? Statman Dave. That page is the silliest page I've seen.
No.
Bro, he'll do like
he just put SP's burner account, man.
He'll do something like, Martinez's first half stats, 100% pass completion, 2 interceptions, 1. Great half. I'm watching the half, you're getting burnt and this and that. But because those stats, you just put selected stats on there, it makes it look better.
Yeah, that's because he has a Twitter account. He's trying to grow the Twitter account. Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. People using stats to make themselves look smart, basically. Yeah, it's interesting.
What about flipping the refereeing in the Premier League? Because Andre Mariner has to go. He's crap. Like, he's been responsible for both Casemiro's red cards. Both times Casemiro got sent off, he was in the VAR room. That's mad.
But do you think today's one was a red card?
No, it wasn't. I wouldn't even have given him a yellow card for that. He won the ball.
Yellow.
He won the ball. The thing is, at what point can players actually make tackles now? Because he won the ball clearly. The follow through, okay, yellow at best. But now, you can't even tackle no more because you're going to get sent off for it. Against Palace, he got sent off for something stupid. Again, Andre Mariner was in the VAR room. At what point, if they're going to implement and use VAR, they have to do like the American football system, where we can hear the discussions being discussed. Because what's the point of having this? It's ruining football. Because we're there, we don't know what's happening. All of a sudden, referees come to the screen doing all that shit and telling you it's a goal or it's a red card. We're paying audiences. Let us know what the discussions being had. Let us understand why you're making those discussions. Not because all we're doing is making assumptions. And I'm saying they're frauds, they're criminals, they're cheats. and then flipping Anthony Taylor as well. I don't want to ever see that guy refereeing the Premier League again. He's poor. Even Chelsea's game yesterday, they should have had like 3 or 4 red cards.
He bottled it.
They kept bottling it.
Made that tackle on João Felix. But yeah, we'll get into that when we get to the Chelsea game.
What I will say on the refs, it's just there's no consistency
exactly
in their decisions. I remember last week before the handballs that Arsenal had against Bournemouth, but then the first game of this week against Bournemouth, Liverpool, in the Liverpool game, Liverpool got penalty based off a handball. And
there's no consistency, and there's no discussion. They need to have a live microphone feed to the audience. We need to hear the discussion. Okay, the referee's been called to the screen. Let's hear what they're talking about. Why has he been called to the screen? What are they talking about? What is the VAR feed saying to the referee on the pitch? We need to hear that. And if they say, "Oh, it's for the referee's protection," no, it's not, because then they can lean on the explanation to say, "This is how I explained it to the audience, so that you can understand and you can see." Because right now, referees are getting abused because we are all interpreting or misinterpreting what they're doing. If they can explain it to us, then we have nothing to jump on and to say. And if they want to talk about revenue or entertainment, it's going to make the game more entertaining because you can hear the referee. Because NFL, when you see the penalty charge and then the referee's like, okay, offense, 10-yard penalty, but it's all part of the entertainment package. Because you can hear the referee talking about like 10 yards back penalty, and you're like, ooh, you can hear it. It's the interaction. We need the interactions from the referee, because they need to be held accountable for them decisions. Because you can't just come and doing all these. I'm not deaf. I can hear all this sign languages, all of that stuff here, and then you're giving my man a red card. It's mad.
Yeah,
that was not a red card.
To be honest, I thought that was a red card.
It's a red.
Nah, man.
It's a red.
It was not a red. No chance.
Because
it's dangerous.
Going, and then it was unfortunate that he missed the ball and then it went over the top.
He got the ball.
He got the ball, but his foot slipped above the ball and it hit the player on his leg.
He got the ball and then the follow through hit the player. Yeah. That was a yellow card at best. So early in the game as well. And the things against United, all these decisions keep happening. Red card twice to the same player. At Palace, he massaged the guy's chest at Palace.
But come on, man. If I touch your face with my hand in the game, it's a red card. You know that.
But then the Palace guys touched his face.
Yeah.
And they got away with it. So where's the consistency in that?
And it happened after, I think, who was it? Was it Wolves and Liverpool? Everton and Liverpool, where Connor Cody grabbed Robertson's neck, or the other way, and nothing happened.
Nothing. And then there was penalty shouts. There was the handball situation. I believe that would have been harsh if that was given as a penalty, because the way he fell, the ball hit him when he was falling. There's no way he could have got his hands out of the position. So that wasn't a penalty. But again, if you're a United fan, you feel kind of aggrieved by these decisions, because this could have been an important game for us to win.
Yeah. The main thing I don't like is the collusion between the refs and the VAR. They don't want to put each other in a bad position. So it's like they don't want to go against each other.
Yeah.
So if the
referee... But then that's why we need the speech. That's why we need to hear their discussion.
Yeah, exactly. Because the ref will make a decision, and it's like the VA, they don't want to rock the boat or cause controversy, so they will stick with a decision that the ref made, even though it may be wrong, and then vice versa. When the ref gets called over to the screen, it's almost like he's under pressure to give the decision, give the penalty, because he's been called over. I'd like to see more of the ref get called over, and maybe he looks at it and be like, nah, I don't agree. But most of the time when the ref goes to the screen, 90% of the time, he agrees, even though it may be wrong. And I think the ref...
The game of football should be refereed by VAR then. We don't need the actual refs on the pitch no more then, because refereeing standards have become so poor and they lean on VAR to support them at all chances now. We don't need you on the pitch no more, because what's the point? You're too scared to make your own decisions. And when you do make your own decisions, you allow your mind to be influenced by someone in an office. So might as well just get the hell off the pitch then. Let VAR run it. Hey, chill. We don't need no referee. Like, yo, number 21, chill, you're shit. Easy. We don't need no referees, man. If they can't make up their own decisions, then get lost.
I also have a feeling that they should open up the talent pool to referees, meaning it shouldn't just be British referees. They should open up to Europe as well. If
Nah,
they did
European
do that,
referees are even worse. They're crap.
nah, in
Some men are
Champions League they're on
useless.
point. In Champions
No,
League they're on
referees,
point.
yeah, needs to be ex-footballers, even if they're like lower
No,
league professionals. No, because like it's the same in rugby union. The old professionals are the referees,
I
and
think
they get great results.
I think the ex-pros definitely need to be in VAR.
yeah, 100%.
I'll say
They
that.
definitely need to be involved.
Yeah, VAR 100%. Maybe I don't think ex-pros want to really be refs.
Nah,
Now, I
I don't
think if
think.
you're an ex-pro that used to play in like League One or League Two, and you've been given a pay package to be a referee, you've played the
Yeah,
game
yeah, yeah.
before, so you kind of know Wagwan. If you were a Premier League player, I don't think you'd really want to be a referee because people are like, "Wow, look at that Duddy. He used to be a Premier player now he's a referee." You don't
and
really want
also
that. But if
I
you're like
think
from National League or something and you're refereeing the game,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you've played the game before, so you know Wagwan. You know some of these tackles are follow throughs, so you have more common sense. But when you get these bozos that can't run or run, these men are from the offices. They never played a game of football. They play squash, and they're supposed to be refereeing football games.
And also, when you get to the Premier League, I feel like well, from what I know, the pay packages are not the greatest in the Premier League. Meaning, it doesn't match up with the like if the players are getting paid, let's say 50 mil a year, a referee should be, I don't know. From what I last saw, I think it's only about a couple 100,000. Where's the incentive? Huh?
Couple 100,000 is not a lot.
What they get? They
It,
don't get 6 figures, do they?
it's just even if they don't, or if they do, they need to. If you want to get, if you're refereeing at the Premier League level, if you increase the pay package, you're gonna get the most elite talent eventually.